Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Way of Growth. In this video, we'll be discussing something called emotional intelligence and how it is that you can become more emotionally intelligent. Emotional intelligence, or EQ, is something that was first introduced by Michael Beldoch back in 1964, but it wasn't really until 1995 when Daniel Goleman came out with his book called Emotional Intelligence that it really started to gain popularity. For most people, this idea of having an EQ is something that's still pretty odd. Now, when most people think about intelligence, they generally just think about IQ, but recent increase in popularity within mental health has really gotten people to start thinking whether IQ is really the only type of intelligence that we have. Well, studies and research are continuing to show that this thing called emotional intelligence is as real as it gets. We essentially have two brains. We have the limbic or emotional brain, and we also have the cerebral cortex, or otherwise known as the rational brain. The human brain developed from bottom to top, so the emotional brain is the older portion. This is what we have in common with most other animals, and it's where we feel all of our emotions like anger, sadness, excitement, and joy. Well, as we began to develop as humans, so did our brains, and that's where the rational brain started to come into play. Now, when something happens to us in our lives, either good or bad, the emotional reaction is going to come first. And the reason for that is because it takes less neuronal connections for that emotional response. This is why we feel an emotion first before we can be rational about it. Now, as human beings, we all feel emotions. It's not something that we can ever get rid of. It's just a natural part of life. But those of us who are better able to incorporate the rational brain when these emotions arise are those of us that are better able to be in control of those emotions. In other words, we have a higher emotional intelligence. People who have a higher EQ, emotional intelligence, are better able to remain calm and collected regardless of what's going on around them. Not only that, but they're better able to understand the emotions of others and help influence them to remain calm as well. Which leads me to the 5 steps of emotional intelligence as listed by Dr. Goleman. Step 1, self-awareness. It's your ability to recognize emotions in yourself when they appear. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, how can I not be aware of my emotions? When I'm angry, I know I'm angry. When I'm sad, I know I'm sad. But hear me out for a second. Being able to recognize your emotions and remain calm is different from being lost in your emotions. The majority of us who don't practice this allow our emotions to take control of us when they come on. Self-awareness is an extremely powerful tool because it helps us learn who we really are down at our core. And one of the best ways to develop self-awareness is to keep a journal. Every night before going to bed, just sit and write for 5 to 10 minutes about what you experienced that day, what emotions you felt, why you felt these things, and you'll really be surprised as to how much you'll start to learn about yourself in a really short time. Step 2 is self-regulation. This is your ability to manage your emotions after you've recognized them. Now, I want to point out that you can't outright control your emotions. That's impossible. But we can get to the point where when these emotions come up, we can remain cool-headed and create a sense of detachment from them. The emotion will still be there, but you won't allow it to take control. A great way to build this ability is to practice mindfulness. Now, I won't go into too much detail about mindfulness because I have a video on this, which I'll link below. But long story short, it teaches you to simply watch your emotions as they appear. Step 3 is motivation. And this is your ability to keep yourself going even when you don't feel like it. A lot of people think that you can only be externally motivated, which is great, but you can also develop internal motivation. And that ability to motivate yourself internally is what separates the greats and those who achieve amazing things versus those who don't. Now, a great way to develop this ability is to develop a growth mindset. And I also have a video on that as well, which I'll link below. And this growth mindset, it teaches you to believe in yourself even when you face adversity. Step 4 is empathy. This is your ability to recognize emotions in other people and be empathetic to their emotions. Now, most of us, we just react to other people's emotions. We just react to their anger, their sadness, their anxiety, their jealousy, and so on. We rarely take a step back and think, hey, they're people just like us, and they feel emotions just like we do. Who are we to judge? And I'm not saying that it's people's faults, because how many people actually learn how to be emotionally intelligent? Very few, if any. We learn things like math, science, history in school, but nobody ever teaches us how to deal with our emotions, how to deal with challenges and stresses that we face in life. So an emotionally intelligent person understands the emotions of other people, understands how they may be feeling, and they're not quick to judge. Now, a great way to build this up is to simply practice kindness and altruism. It's something that's many times overlooked, but it's extremely powerful. And last but not least, step 5 is social skills. It's your ability to handle relationships and create a connection with others. If all we ever do is react to other people's emotions with our own emotions, then nothing ever gets solved. Not only that, but it won't help to build a good relationship with another person, and it may actually only create bad blood. Well, an emotionally intelligent person understands all of this, and they're able to communicate well with others. A great way to build up your social skills is to pay attention to people's body language. Now, I also have an older video on the body language of hands, which I will again link below, but I do also plan on doing other videos on body language soon, because the far majority of our communication is based on our bodies, right? Our mouths may say one thing, but our bodies will say another. And those are the 5 steps of emotional intelligence, something that we can all work to develop. Emotional intelligence is important not only because it teaches you about yourself and how to remain at peace regardless of what's going on around you, but it also helps you to build relationships with others, which is important not only in friendships but also in business. Now, this video is just a quick overview on EQ, on emotional intelligence, but if you want a deeper look into it, make sure to check out Daniel Goleman's book, Emotional Intelligence. And that's it, folks. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.